Talk us through the things that need to change, because that microbiome needs to change. That imbalance needs to change. Those little critters in there that are demanding the cracker and the cheese need to, move to one side and die off. And you need to flourish the other guys to come in order to change the reactions that, in the behaviors and the ability for that child to then learn and be able to start speaking. So talk through that.
Yeah, of course. So, how I like to liken it, because of course, like probably a lot of listeners are parents, like we were when we first started, before we went through all these qualifications to sort of get to where we are now. And so when I was first starting out, I didn't even know what gluten was, and so I tried to explain things in a way where you can sort of picture it. And the way I always pictured it with Rose was this garden. And think of like your child's gut as like this beautiful garden with all these flowers and all these flourishing, wonderful like plants that are all fresh and look so healthy. When you see people's gardens and you're so jealous because like mine's so rubbish. There's no grass left because my son plays football. And it's like literally just like this mud pit of weeds. But anyway, that's the garden that we're looking at, and that's how you want the gut to look, with all these things and all these plants and all these like different microbes. And you think about the gut and like all of the functions that the gut serves. So like you think like we make neurotransmitters there, which are brain chemicals. So if you think like we make GABA there, which is an inhibitory brain chemical that helps you with sensory, like feeling calm in your senses and being able to regulate yourself and have inhibition, which loads of our kids don't have because it's like they think they do. It's like there's no kind of like, okay, let's think about this for a minute before we act. It's like, and GABA is really important for that. And your gut creates that. Your gut creates serotonin. Your gut creates dopamine, like you're happy, like signaling in your brain and like being able to keep your mood stabilized. All these things that our kids struggle with. And then your gut bacteria, like that garden, that creates your immune system, and it creates some vitamins that are essential again for things like mood regulation, sleep, and also think about the bacteria there that should be there. Things like bifidobacteria, that's essential for sleep and like mood regulation. And I'm talking about this as and almost like relating back to like the symptomology of like our kids, because all these things are the things that we're seeing in our children where they can't inhibit, they can't emotionally balance, their senses are sort of like all over the place because they can't regulate those. And you think like when the gut is in this harmonious state, all of those things are working properly. Whereas and to feed that garden, you have to have vegetables and you have to have diversity. You have to have lots of different things. And the way I like to sort of explain it in a very sort of nice way for people to sort of visualize is that if you imagine your garden and you were only feeding like one plant and you were just watering that and like, and giving it all of the food that it needs and everything else, only that would grow, but it would grow really, really big. And then everything else around it would die. And that's essentially what happens with our kids is like, we're only feeding like one part, and usually it's a part that's not helpful. It's fungus, because we're feeding sugar and carbs and stuff like that. And when fungus takes over, it basically like crowds out all of the nice flowers and microbes that we want. And so then what happens is you've got a load of weeds, and usually they're on fire as well because you've got loads of other inflammation. And then you've got like this overgrowth of this unhelpful fungus, it inhibits like methylation. It can cause, it can impact like how you process neurotransmission. Your dopamine, GABA and serotonin are not being made like properly. Your sleep is impaired. Your immunity is impaired. You're not creating things like B vitamins, which are essential for, again, like mood regulation, for, what else? I'm thinking about other things. Do you think like B vitamins? I'm just going through each one in my head and thinking about what they're responsible for. B6, I mean, that is so essential for like everything, in terms of detoxification, in terms of GABA creation. And then you've got, and for magnesium to work efficiently in the body, which again then takes us to this child's never calm because they can't access what they're supposed to. And then think about some of the other B vitamins. I mean, B5 is essential for adrenal health. So again, you've got that situation where this child's kind of in this never-ending adrenal loop of like excess. And then some of the other B vitamins will be responsible for like digestion and helping you to digest carbohydrates, which is going to be heavy in the diet, but can't be digested properly. So it sits there and ferments. and then causes more problems. So it's like, it's this never ending sort of cycle. But if we can just get that garden fed properly, and honestly, I know when you first start out, it feels so overwhelming and it feels like this huge mountain that you have to climb. But if you think about tiny touches, and the microbiome is really plastic, like it only takes a little bit for it to start changing. So if you can start to cut down some of the stuff that's feeding those weeds and then get all of the diversity in, and some of that nice, like colourful rainbow food to start fit, like, and I mean rainbow food, like in vegetables and fruits, not in like sweets. I just want to clarify that, because I'm like, let's go and have some M&Ms.
Skittles. I'm just giving him lots of Skittles, and they're all different colours.
Yeah, I know, it's just like, but yeah, so I think if we can start to do that, you can invoke change, like really quickly by doing that.